Evening Troopers, welcome to Inside the Mancave book club. This has been a bit difficult because I'm talking about something I don't necessarily know a lot about, which is, to be honest, most videos. I just sit here and yap and then hope. It's like a million monkeys with a million typewriters, and at some point they're going to write Hollyoaks, aren't they? But no, I'm talking about a comic book character. And I'm not big on comics, I never have been. I've never really bought a comic, or if I have, I've only bought the odd one. I've never sat and read them, and I don't disrespect it as a medium. I think it is an incredibly expressive medium, but it's just not for me. It's not for me. However, there are a few characters and books and annuals and things that I have dropped on that I love, and one of these is the subject of tonight's little video, Rogue Trooper. Oh yeah, Rogue Trooper. So he was a character from 2000 AD, and he was a stablemate of Judge Dredd, obviously, Strontium Dog. So I think that's the two that most of people have heard of. But there was other strips in that, like Flesh, which was about travelling back to dinosaur times to take food to a future that had no food. There was Ace Trucking, where there was this guy who had just like a Millennium Falcon type ship, and he used to basically get into adventures taking cargo around the galaxy. And there was a dude with a robot cigar, Robo Hunter, and he'd have there was some really great characters, and it was all weirdly British, but also weirdly mid-Atlantic as well. And I know a lot of people are massively into 2000 AD, and no wonder, because it had a unique feel. It really did. It wasn't like anything else at the time, I don't think, because it was high concept sci-fi presented in an adult manner in the fledgling format of serious comic books. That's what I understand it. But like I said, this isn't a particularly subject I know a lot about. But I know a lot about Rogue Trooper because I think he's just too cool. And he's one of the characters that sort of entered popular culture from 2000 AD. The biggest one, obviously, is like Judge Dredd. And there's been two films from Judge Dredd. I actually quite like the Stallone version. I think there was a lot they got right, a lot they got wrong. And then you've got Dredd, which is essentially just a joy from start to finish. And I think more people get more joy out of another Dredd film than another Charlie's Angels. But that's just my opinion. We're not talking about Charlie's Angels, we're talking about Rogue Trooper, and this particular annual. This is the annual 1991. And this is important because this is when they changed the entire character. And it caused much wailing and gnashing of teeth in the 2000 AD community. And I get why they did it, because the old Rogue Trooper, and I'll just show you a couple of shots now of the old Rogue Trooper. So he's got his skin tight trousers on, and he's stripped to the waist, and he's got his cool looking gun. I do like Rogue Trooper's gun. I do like his helmet. He's got his backpack, but he's very low res in a cool way. Blue skinned, but you didn't really. Most of his strips were black and white. But you got the fact that there was like a little texture to his skin, and there was an alienness quality to him. He had a little Mohican and stuff when he did take his helmet off. And he had full-on conversations with his helmet, which is why this is probably quite relevant tonight. His backpack and his gun, because his pals, their personalities were all inserted into the weapons and the equipment. And it looked cool. There is a coolness about it. You can see there's a coolness about him. But also, there's a datedness to it as well. It's not like Judge Dredd's an immortal look. You know, they didn't change the outfit too much in between Judge Dredd with Stallone to Dredd with Carl Urban, and it's still recognisably the original Judge Dredd character. But what they wanted to do with Rogue Trooper is sort of modernise it a little bit, because it was looking a bit tired, and also the story arc has sort of reached its end, because it was. Every story was Rogue goes somewhere, has fight, gets betrayed, goes somewhere else. Ends up a little bit worse off at the end, but a bit more knowledgeable. That's a classic Western, isn't it? That's the essence of Westerns. But Friday was, and that's Friday on the front there, was the new guy. And he also was a genetic infantryman, a GI. See what they did there? And he had blue skin. And he had a gun and a backpack and a helmet. But he was much more... First of all, he didn't have his mates in his kit. So it was all internal monologue. Which, as a writer, always cuts your options down, I guess. Because he could have full-on conversations with his three mates when he was the old rogue. But there's a lot more internal monologuing with Friday. But his outfit's much more Vietnam-inspired, 80s-inspired. It's still got a cool gun, but it's not quite as iconic. You know, I think there's something special about that original Rogue Trooper gun. So it's a very much post-Vietnam, even though it was quite a lot of time post-Vietnam, 1990. But it was a post-Vietnam era Rogue, post-Aliens movie. And I think Aliens was probably quite a big influence. But the great thing is that they talk about the transition. They show you a handy differential chart. So I'll just show you that now. So obviously you've got the old Rogue there, and the new Rogue, and the differences between it, just highlighted, you know. But the actual story, the depth and the darkness, and the scope of it essentially remained the same. He just looked a bit different, and he was more of a lone wolf. And he was still walking around on his own, completely abandoned by his friendly forces, still fighting a war he didn't really understand, in a way that he was never really under threat, because he was just a mechanical. He was even though he was flesh and blood, he was so far above anything he met that he just slaughtered everything he came across. And I believe in most of the Friday books, the war was actually long over. And he was just stuck on this planet that had been the theatre of war. And he'd come across civilians trying to live their lives. And he'd come across travelling circuses and mutants and stuff. And he was just still fighting a war that was well over. Which is a very current thinking for the late 80s. Post-Vietnam again. That's a very, kind of John Rambo. Still fighting Vietnam War, even in the last Rambo film. These men that go away and fight for us, and women, and they come back damaged. And no wonder. Because they see things that we don't want to see, and that's why we're not joining the army. But we just be fat and wear helmets on YouTube. So, a quick story about this. This is mine. I bought it in 1990. It was in my loft. It's one of the very, very few things I managed to save from my loft. And I treasure it because it's really good storytelling. So if you're into 2000 AD, or if you're into Dread, if you love the Dread film, check out the book that's related to it. This is from the same creative stable. It's not the same people and the same artists, but there's a cross influence. There's the same tone and the same philosophy, because it's from the same publishing house and the same editorial team and the same publication that was pushing its agenda of adult themed high concept sci-fi in this format. So I hope you've enjoyed that video. Like I say, it's not particularly something I know tons about, but most of it I know from this. The most important thing though, and I forgot to tell you about this, the most important thing is this book talks a lot about an upcoming Rogue Trooper feature film directed by Harley Cocklis, who directed Battle Truck, which you might know as Warlord of the 21st Century, which is a Mad Max 2 ripoff, filmed in New Zealand, and he's got an electric motorbike, and there's a bad guy, a rogue army general, in an armoured truck, just going and just upsetting everyone, and he has to fight him. So, yeah, okay, I'd imagine that the guy who directed a film like that, as I've just explained to you, would be a really good choice to direct a Rogue Trooper movie. The problem is it never really happened, because I think Rogue Trooper movie was one of them that's been in development hell forever, and I think it probably will be, even after the success of Dread. I don't think we'll ever really see if we might do, but if we do, to probably ruin it like we ruin everything at the moment. I'm only teasing. It's all good. All sci-fi is good. All geek stuff's good. Anyway, hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please like and subscribe. Follow me on Instagram, Twitter and all that rubbish below. And share it. And pop back later on in the week for another video. Thanks for stopping by. Bye-bye.